Real estate is one of the simplest ways to build long-term wealth, and one of the easiest ways to get wrecked if you don't know what you're doing. So this show, it exists for one main reason: clarity. Me and Keith, we're talking deals, markets, financing, flips, all of it, but always through the lens of what's working, what isn't working, and why. I'm your host, Dayton Lindsey, and I promise you that this podcast is going to help you save time, money, and you from painful lessons. So, let's get into this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I might include that in the episode here that we're just talking about, but
I'm good.
Here we are again. Keith, you ready to answer more questions?
Always.
As we both take a shot of
Always
our drinks.
You're not allowed to drink at the same time that I'm allowed to, though.
Okay, fair enough. But it's not the same
Actually,
time. There's a 2-hour difference.
No kidding, though. My wife was yawning at the same time as me in the car yesterday. I started yawning and she started yawning, and I interrupted my yawn. You're not allowed to yawn at the same time as me. It was hilarious. It came out all stupid sounding and everything. Yeah, that was funny. Anyway, let's get on.
Is that a deal breaker for you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, Keith. So, my question for you today to start things off is, what are the most common rehab overruns and how do you prevent them?
Meaning, overruns meaning you go over budget, right?
Yeah, so like what are the aspects or parts of the rehab that you always plan for, but that the ones that typically run over budget in your experience? Because there's always, because when it comes to rehabs, it doesn't matter where you are or what rehab you're doing. There's always a calculation for, all right, here's what we think it's going to cost, and here's what we expect it to, because there are going to be unforeseen parts of the rehab, like water damage or just stuff that's hidden very well in the walls, mostly.
So this is what I always put 20% for my contingency. A lot of people say that's too much, but I'll tell you why it's not.
Okay.
I do all of my flips virtually, and I don't typically have. I have one roving construction crew, and so if they're at a house and I have another house, they can't work on both of them because they cannot simultaneously be in New York at the same time that they're in Louisiana. That's not conducive to fuel. And they have two RVs. Yeah. Like literally everybody lives in these two RVs. The whole crew, when they're working for me, they work out of these two huge, like 45-foot or 50, I don't know how long RVs are.
Do you supply them with the RVs then?
Say it again?
Do you supply them with the RVs that they're living out of?
I don't supply them with the RVs, but I do pay them enough to pay for those RVs, and they literally travel across the United States. They don't actually. They stay in the southeast. There's like 13 or 14 states that I operate a lot in the southeast, and they kind of just go back and forth between those states.
Oh, okay.
So, I put 20% contingency because I don't have all the local hookups. I don't have the awesome flooring guy and the amazing, like, where you buy flooring at a discount, and the amazing contractor to do a roof for a really good rate or whatever, like people that you connect with and you've met with at the local RIA or whatever. Like that's a home field advantage that those real estate investors have that I don't have. And so I'm always going to have to pay like retail price. And I know that. And because I'm not there, people are going to try to, for lack of a better term, screw me by saying you need to do this, and thinking that I don't have systems or double check, like third-party verification processes in place to see if I actually do need to do that. And so truthfully, it does happen. And frankly, like it happens enough that I allow it to happen sometimes when it's just a small, if it's like a $600 thing here and a $1,400 thing here, fine, whatever, like let's do it. But as soon as that becomes like multiple thousands of dollars, like, hey, there's this unexpected thing that's going to cost you $4,000. Hold on, let's pump the brakes here and come up
Mm.
with a creative solution to do this. So 20% is what I do, and that has been a thing since 2018, 2019 when I went virtual, and even to this day, like this very day, February 11th, 2026, I still have a 20% contingency in every rehab that I do. And the biggest things that make me go over budget are not the things that I plan for, they're the things that I can't see. So, for example, there's two quick examples that come up really, really quickly. The first one was a sewer scope. So a sewer scope is a camera that you stick on this hose looking thing. It's a metal hose that you stick down into the sewer line and it shows you what that sewer looks like. Like what is the
Okay.
integrity structure? Like are there holes? Are there cracks? Is there weeds growing in?
Yeah, like a
And what
colonoscopy.
exactly a colonoscopy for your sewer. And dude, like there was this one tree in the front yard that it had busted a root through the sewer pipe, and the roots were growing inside the
In
sewer
the
pipe.
sewer. Oh no.
And so, dude, I think this was like a 12 or 15,000. I'm pretty sure it was $15,000 to get it fixed because not only did we have to ruin the driveway by digging it up because the tree was up in the front yard, but the roots, they're pretty large. I think it had gone a full like 30 feet to underneath the driveway. We had to ruin the driveway, dig it up, replace the pipe, and then put everything back together to include the driveway. It's about a $15,000 job, which really sucked. And that would have been mitigated day one if I had elected to get a sewer scope with my home inspection. Not all home inspectors will do this, but most of them will, and it's like an additional upcharge of $200 to $350 for that
Okay.
sewer scope. Well, I'm not saying that you need to do it on every single one of your houses. Like if there's no big old trees in the front yard, you probably don't need to worry about, right? Because sewers go from your house out to the main street. That's
Yeah.
where the city sewer is always on the main street. If you don't have any big old trees up in front, don't pay for a sewer scope. That'd be stupid. But if you have big trees up in front, or there's other indications of there's a leak, then go ahead and pay for it because I would have loved to have paid $300 to mitigate a $15,000 expense that I could have easily negotiated the seller down 15, maybe even $20,000 from this being an issue. So I didn't know about that one. Another example
Mhm.
was when we were taking this old house. It was around a 1970 to 1975 build or so, where in that day and age, they were really like subdividing houses quite a bit. And the living room was its own room with like three egresses. One came in from the entryway, one went to the dining room, and one went to the kitchen.
Oh,
And
okay.
other than those three uh, entryways, it was all walls. And the kitchen was like its own little separate room. The dining room and the kitchen had a wall between them. The kitchen and the living room had a wall between them. So it was so claustrophobic. Like you couldn't see anything. The house was really small too. This is a 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath, if I remember correctly. And it was only like 1,100 square feet. It was tiny. And what a
Oh,
world of
okay.
difference it made to open up all of this space. We weren't able to open up entirely. We had to create a half wall because you just simply lose too much cabinet space in the kitchen, and it would no longer be really a functional kitchen if you blew out the whole wall. You just lost like
Yeah.
five or six cabinets. You no longer have any room to store your pots and pans. So we left like the bottom, and then we got rid of the top. I think is what we ended up doing. Um, and we had considered like leaving the top and then making that space between the top and the bottom, but then it looked like it reminded me too much of like an elementary school cafeteria where you have the stuff on the top and you have the stuff on the bottom and you're like sliding your tray through.
Oh
it
yeah.
just didn't look good. Like it was really dated. So we ended up getting rid of those cabinets, which sucks for lack of storage space, but really opened it up so much. So it was an open concept between the kitchen, the living room, and the dining room, and even into a little bit of the entryway. The entryway had a half wall that was about 4 feet tall and maybe I want to say about 8 feet long, with a little bit of like a foyer-esque feel to it, where the flooring was different. It was tile rather than hardwood floors, and you could put like your you could hang your coats in that closet and all your shoe. If you had like dirty shoes or whatever, you could leave it there. Um, so it really opened it up a lot. Now the thing was, when you open up walls, you start to expose problems that nobody knew
Hmm.
about. Like, for example, I don't remember what this was, but the electrical wire, I think the electrical wires were 20 gauge wires, which, not to get too nerdy on people, maybe it was 22 gauge wires. The bigger the number, the smaller the wire. The smaller the
Okay.
wire, the hotter it gets under load. So when you
Oh,
have
okay.
microwave and a fridge and a range that's all pulling electricity through this wall on a 22 gauge wire or 20 gauge wire. Admittedly, I'm not an electrician. I don't freaking, I could be wrong. I think it was 20 or 22 gauge. It was way too small. And basically, we opened it up and was like, shoot, like they cheaped out a lot when they were
Yeah.
building this house. I wonder if all of the electricity is 22 gauge wire, all the wiring, and it was. So we ended up having to replace
No.
everything. Just, I guess we didn't have to, but it made me feel a little bit better to make sure that we were turning an end product around to somebody else that wasn't going to light on fire in a couple of years. The last thing that I need is a
Yeah.
lawsuit 4 years from when I sell this thing. You sold me this house and it burnt down to the ground, and we lost our firstborn son because of it, and now we're suing you for $10 million or something crazy. I don't want that to ever happen. So we ended up doing everything. All we rerouted the wire. We had to open up the walls. A lot of it we didn't have to open up. We were able to just shove it through the same. Is conduit the right? Cheers. I don't know. I'm blanking on the term, the holes that you're shoving the wire through. Uh, we were able
The
to just
outlets
like feed it through and then
or the
and then
socket?
pull the old wiring out, and that saved a lot of money, because when you have to tear out all the drywall like 4 feet and down, that gets really 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 expensive. Now we have to tape it.
Yeah, it
Now we have to
does.
texture it. Now we have to skim coat. Make sure that it blends in really nicely. Other issues are like when you open up the walls. This also, I've experienced this as well. We opened up the walls and there was mold inside, in between the walls, like in the insulation, and there
Yeah,
was
that's
like
a common
little
one too.
cracks. Yes, and you don't expect it. You have no idea. Seemingly from the outside, it looks good. Seemingly from the inside, it looks good. The moment you take off that drywall, you're like, freaking frack, bro! I had no idea that there was going to be mold back here. And now that I know
Yeah.
about it, you only have two options. You have two ethical options. You have one unethical option, which is cover it up and pretend like you didn't see it. I recommend don't do that. You're going to get sued, and bad things are going to happen to you. There's two ethical options. You can either disclose it. Hey, this house is mold. And then you like massively have to discount
Yeah.
the price, the sales price point of the house. I never recommend doing that. Or fix it. And so I've had to come out of budget. Like we way blew through the 20% contingency with all of those. With the mold, when we opened it up, with the electricity, we had to turn it to like 16 gauge wire or 12 gauge. What gauge wire or house outlet? 12 gauge wire, 12 to 14 gauge wire. And so yeah, I feel pretty confident in saying that it was like 20 gauge wire. And we're just looking at this and it's like, bro, if we happened to run the microwave and the stove simultaneously, this is gonna fry. Like it
Hmm.
really is at risk of like burning the house. Um, so each of those things taught me like you need to do a better job inspecting the house and kind of knowing what you're going to do with it. I'm not saying that you need to have your scope of work built already. That would be ridiculous. But having a vision for the house is going to help you understand what you're going to have to go through, therefore allowing you to prepare for worst case scenario. As an investor, rule number one of making money is don't lose money. How do we not lose money? Well, we need to know how much we're going to spend, and we need to know how much we can sell it for. It's the same
Hmm.
process. Like no matter where you are, no matter the price point, no matter the condition of the house, we reverse engineer. We begin with the end in mind, which is what can I sell this house for? And then we reverse engineer to get it from where it is to where I want it to be. Let's say the house is in really poor condition and I need to get it to $300,000 condition. Well, what do other houses look like that sold for $300,000? Because that's the condition that mine needs to be in. Now, if this is going to be a $55,000 repair, great. How are we going to allocate that? How much is going to each one of these things? And now we can say, oh, one of my plans is going to be blow out the walls. Okay, well, I know that there's a likelihood that we're getting into some, or another one. I blew out a wall, or I had intentions of blowing out a wall. It was a load-bearing wall. You can't blow it out.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
Oh,
I had this
oh
huge,
no.
grandiose vision of making this just
Yeah.
a really beautiful house. And it ended up turning out to be a great product. But one of the things that we had to do was we had to put this huge steel I-beam through the house because it was load bearing. There's a second story, and the
Yeah.
second story would literally collapse into the middle of.
Quick aside, if you're getting value out of this, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below with what you want Keith and me to cover next. It helps the channel out a lot, and it tells us what you want to learn about. Anyways, back to the video.
What is it called? Chip and Joanna Gaines. It's called Fixer Upper. That's right.
Fixer
Amazing
upper,
show,
okay.
Fixer Upper. And they go through this little town of, oh, it's somewhere in Texas, and I've actually flipped a house there. Waco, Texas. Beautiful, dude. They have the best vision and the best crew and the best material. Their houses just look amazing. And I'm like, I'm going to pull a Joanna Gaines on this. We're going to open this up. Yeah, stupid. If you blow out that wall, the whole second story is literally going to sink into the middle of the first story. Like, you cannot do that. And so what we ended up doing was we had to place this huge I-beam. I don't know how big it was. It was probably like 12, 14, 18 inches. I don't know. It really stuck out, though. And it was
Mhm.
steel. It was so heavy. And it cost so much money to put this stupid I-beam in. We ended up covering it with faux wood. So it looked like, it just looked like a regular wooden beam, but it was really a steel or iron. No, it was steel. It was a steel beam. And that stupid thing cost me like, it was more than $10,000. The whole
Okay.
thing
Yeah.
blew my budget. Totally blew my budget. It's always
Okay,
the things that you
so
don't know about.
I have a question in regards to blowing the budget then, because you've been pretty extensive about how like some of the most common overruns, and especially with giving examples from your own personal adventures. So, what would be the best way to prevent these from happening? I'm assuming it would be inspections. That would be the number one way to do your best to prevent them. But I was wondering if there would be other ways of doing this.
There isn't ways of prevention. There is ways of being proactive.
Okay.
Because you're correct. The only way that you can prevent unknown things from happening is to learn about them. But now they're no longer unknown, right? And you can now
Hmm.
plan for them. The only way to make unknown things stop happening to you is to find out about them sooner. And the only way to do that is inspections. However, I believe that if you flip enough houses, you your things are just going to happen, right? And like you have to be okay with that you cannot plan perfectly 100% of the time. And things are going to get better, trust me. My first 4 years of flipping houses, not so great. I feel like I was constantly in this panic of this is new and I've never done this. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And I was like learning how to learn at that time.
Yeah.
But after you do this, I'd say for 3, 4, 5 years, I'm kind of a late bloomer. It probably would take most people only 2 or 3 years. Um, you create some systems and you have some experience and you know what to look for and you know what the risk may be of doing something. However, really, if I could just be for real, like the only thing that's going to save you is buying at a deep enough discount that even when species hits the oscillator, you're not losing money. That's what you
Yeah.
need to account for. And so
Yeah.
I have this formula. Let's see if I can remember it. I have this formula of like, what is a reasonable worst case scenario? That is, if I sell it for 6% less than what I thought I was going to sell it for, and I held it for whatever the longest days on market has ever been in the last 2 years. So if any of the comps in 2 years, going 2 years back, what's the longest days on market? If I hold it that long and I went over budget by 15%. I already have a
Oh.
20%. Let's attach some real numbers to this. Let's say that my
Yeah.
renovation budget is $20,000. So $20,000 times 1.2 is $24,000. That's with a 20% contingency. Now I take that $24,000 times 1.15 is 27.6. So I really only think that it's going to cost $20,000. I add a $4,000 contingency and then a $3,600 contingency on top of that. So
Okay.
if I sell it for less, if I hold it longer, and if I spend more money on it, I want to make sure that with all three of these things hitting simultaneously, I don't lose money.
Okay.
And so far, I can still say this as of right now. So far, I still haven't lost money. I think that I might be losing money coming up pretty soon. It's going to be very, very close. Like I have had everything wrong. That was this deal that I was telling you about. The worst deal that I ever had. Nightmare of a deal.
That was
fired.
the one in, what was it, Louisiana? Is that what
Yeah,
the right
Chauvin,
one?
Louisiana. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
fired the realtor 1 week ago exactly.
Right. The 100-year war.
Yeah,
Right.
100-year war between this family feud. So I don't know if I'm going to lose money on that. Frankly, it's going to be really close. It really depends on what I can sell it for. And
Okay.
it's at a low enough price point that that it makes me a little bit nervous. And what I sell it for really depends on what my exit strategy is. Meaning, if I were to retail it right now on the MLS, I think I would take a haircut only by a couple $1,000s. And mind you, this is doing really well. This is after like
Yeah.
20 something $1,000s of expenses and holding costs and double renovation when the contractor tried to screw me. Blah, 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 blah. Like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong with this. If I sold it retail, I think I would lose maybe $2,000 to $6,000. I would like to owner finance it though. I would really love to owner finance it to a fisherman. So if anybody happens to live in the Houma or Chauvin, Louisiana area that's listening to this, if you have any fisherman friends that need an owner finance house, hit me up. At that point, then we'd be good. We'd be in the black by at least $10,000, if not $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
So the real solution to this problem of not going over budget or being okay with when it does go over budget is buy at enough of a discount that even when reasonable worst case scenario happens, you're not losing money.
Yeah. Age old adage of buy low, sell high.
Mm-hmm.
So on the topic of rehab overruns and ways to prevent them, I want to touch on an aspect of rehabs, and that would be, what are the highest ROI rehabs that a person can do to get the most out of their, like, increasing the value of the home? versus money wasting activities that most people think would be a good rehab choice, but ultimately wouldn't contribute to the bottom line.
Yeah, super easy answer for this. A lot of folks, they want to go crazy specifically on the kitchens and the bathrooms. And
And that makes
specifically,
sense. Most people spend their time there in the home.
yes.
So that does
And
make
if
sense,
you
yeah.
think about it, that's where your expenses are. The rest of the house is literally nothing more than drywall and flooring. Think about bedrooms. It's nothing
Mm.
but drywall and flooring. Super easy. Now, the kitchens and the bathrooms, what are the most expensive things in those two places? Easy. It's three things. It's cabinets, countertops, and appliances. That's what makes it different. That's what makes a kitchen different than a bedroom. Is it
Yeah.
has cabinets, countertops, and appliances. That's it. So, of those three things, where do you get the biggest bang for your buck? Well,
Now, before
instead of
before you want to, I want to guess which ones they are. I'm
okay,
going to
cool.
assume it is going to be appliances is number one,
Okay.
and then it would go to probably cabinets, and then I'm thinking countertops.
Mm.
That's what I would be guessing as a
Well, this is
newbie
probably
investor.
where most people are going to guess, and you're dead wrong. uh,
Oh, damn
the
it!
the easiest thing to do is instead of ripping out, so many people rip out the cabinets, and cabinets are a massive expense, $10,000 to $12,000 when you're putting in good cabinets. Instead of doing that, no, hear me out on this. If you're going full retail condition and like you're trying to get tippy top of the market, ARV condition, especially if you're in a high price point market, yes, rip out the cabinets if they're super old. However, a lot of people sleep on this very easy little known trick. Instead of getting new cabinets, pull off the doors, take them outside, sandblast them, resurface them, paint them, and put them back on with new hardware. It's not the wood. It's not the wood that people care about. It's the
Okay.
hardware. Think about this. What do you when you're over at somebody's house or if you have a nice house, do you care about what type of wood? Like what type? Like is it cedar wood? Is it oak wood? Is it pine? Is it what's the one that we put in that one house that's um oh my goodness, beautiful
Yeah.
Hawaii wood. This is embarrassing that I'm forgetting.
All the deals are blurring together at this point. All the rehabs.
It's just been koa wood is what we put in. Beautiful. It's koa, COA. Beautiful, beautiful wood that we used to flip houses with, and like higher price point houses.
Yeah.
Anything more than like 1.2, $1.3 million, we'd put koa wood in the cabinets. It's super expensive. In those houses, they rate koa wood, right? And that one house that we were telling you about, I don't know, like 4 or 5 podcasts ago, koa wood was what we put in the kitchen and the bathrooms.
Oh, okay.
Why? Well, it's a $2.1 million house, $2.2 million house. Like you want to put the nicest stuff in those houses. When we're talking about like median price point houses, like if the median price
Hmm.
point house is $420,000 and you're buying it for you're going to be selling it for between 400 and 420, you don't need the fancy freaking wood.
No, it just
Instead
needs to be
of
functional.
blowing your budget, resurface, which is like literally 1/4 to 1/5 the cost of new cabinets, sand it down, paint them or stain them if you want the natural wood color. Then put new hardware on it. There's two hardwares that you care about. It hinges and slides and pulls and handles. So if you have oh my,
Uh-oh, the camera's gone. No.
that
Oh,
was
okay.
so
Uh-oh.
weird. It's going back and forth. Dude, my camera literally got so hot that it just shut down. You know, this is funny though. The Marine side of me is about to come out because you can turn off the camera while recording, but you can't switch cameras. Dude, I literally have a backup camera right here and it won't let me switch to it. How lame. Well, I'll turn on the
Oh, no.
fan. It'll oh, it's also because I have the screen on. There we go. All right. It'll cool off in a little bit, and then it'll turn back on.
Okay. Well,
Cool.
they'll just have to listen to you if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm still
How
visible,
weird.
but that
Sorry,
doesn't matter.
guys. Yeah, Dayton's the better looking one of us anyway. So the the problem is a lot of people will tear out the cabinets and then they're replacing it for $8,500 or $11,000, and it's like this is totally unnecessary when you literally could have resurfaced it for $1,500 to $2,500, and then it's only a couple $100 to get new pulls anyway. So that's the handle that you grab onto to open up the
Mhm.
cabinet or to slide out the drawer. We're literally talking about like $200 that is going to cost you. Or and I should say, when you're sliding out the drawer, you can absolutely 100% tell the difference between a cheap, wiggly, loose sliding mechanism and one that is super solid, soft close drawers.
Mhm.
And so they're only like $30 each. And how many drawers are you going to have? I don't know, 12, maybe. You have a big kitchen if you have 12 drawers. And so you're a couple $100 for the sliding mechanisms as well. This is super, super helpful to lower the cost, but still get the biggest bang for your buck. Because everybody, in the Marine Corps, we have this saying, if it smells clean, it must be clean. We have that saying because your stuff is always dirty. When you have a room inspection
Mhm.
and the guy's coming, sergeant, staff sergeant, gunnery sergeant, whatever, is coming through and doing room inspections. If he comes in and it looks clean and it smells clean, he's probably not going to wipe the door frame with his pinky to see if it's actually clean. He's not going to look underneath the toilet to see if it's actually dust free. He's going to say, this looks clean and it smells clean, therefore it must be clean. Well, the cool thing is, buyers on the retail market are the same. If it looks like the wood is brand new and they open it up and it feels new and the hardware is nice and shiny and cohesive with your sink and your faucet and your appliances, they're going to go, wow, this is new cabinets. It's not. It's not at all. It's just resurfaced cabinets, and you saved yourself like 80% of the cost. So
Okay.
that's just a little hack, though. What I have three things that make the list every single time when I'm doing a wholesale or a retail. The first thing is paint. The second thing is flooring, and the third thing is light switches and outlet covers. So when you give a house a new coat of paint, we're talking anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000.
Mhm.
It makes such a world of difference. And then when you change out the floors and you put in some laminate vinyl, planks in there, nice looking wood floors rather than the old linoleum or God forbid carpet, like man, oh man, oh man, does that really, really help spruce up the place. And then lastly, I never choose to paint true white. I have the same exact color palette. I have a warm color palette and I have a cold color palette. So one of them that
Okay.
is kind of like grays and one of them that's more like yellows and stuff. I have warm and cold. And no matter what, true white just really pops. And so think about this. The little flippy doodads that cover your light switch? That
Yes.
being brand new white rather than yellow, dingy,
Oh, yeah,
kind
no,
of
that's like
tinged
because that
yellow.
shows it's worn and dated. It's kind of like with teeth. You look at someone's teeth and it's like, oh, they're yellow. Oh, what are you, a
Yes,
smoker? It's just
exactly,
not
dude.
a comfortable. Um, it just kind of signals dirty. So,
Yes, exactly. So we change out the wall outlets where like you plug in your lamp or your appliance or whatever. We change all those and we change the light switch plates. Those are literally 68 cents each from Home
okay.
Depot. It is the cheapest thing ever to replace. But when you do that, oh, and then another, this is a hack, not really necessarily something that you need to do, but repainting the baseboards. Not getting new baseboards, just repainting the existing ones. Massive world of difference. So many people sleep on these super simple things, and this is where you're going to get the majority of your ROI is paint, floors, outlet covers. And then if you're doing anything with the kitchen, you should always resurface the cabinets, put new pulls and new hinges and stuff on, and then leave the sink, but change out the faucet to one of those big faucets. And we do the same exact thing with the bathroom as well. The shower, like rather than having some stupid, cheap looking shower faucet, having a nice like rainforest, I forget what they're called. Maybe it's not called a rainforest, but it's a rain shower head. Those look really good, and they're only like $130, $140.
Okay, when you say rainforest, I'm kind of picturing like a what's what are they called? I know what they're called, like the actual product, but I'm assuming you're referring to the massive shower head that feels like you're getting drenched from like
yes, like a
rain
1 foot by 1 foot
okay.
at least type of deal.
Okay.
And it just like, especially for the ladies, dude, ladies love that. And who's going to be the one who ultimately determines whether or not you buy the house?
It's
It's
going
not
to
the
be
man. It's
yeah.
going to be the lady. So give her what she wants. What does she want? She wants a nice faucet in her sink, and she wants a nice shower head in her shower.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so those are the highest ROIs that you can do when you're rehabbing houses.
Okay. Yeah, those, when you explain it, it's like, yeah, that makes total sense because when I go about my day in the house, like, yeah, I do spend most of my time there, especially like the bathroom sections. It's like, I may not spend all my time there, but it's like the most, this might sound weird, but it's like the most significant part of the day is getting ready in the washroom.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
And ladies are no different.
No, and they spend even more time there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can't even 7 hours in there, bam. It's like a full workday. All right, Keith. I think that's all the time we have for today. But those were some awesome answers, and I really go happy that you answered those questions for me, especially with the highest ROI activities for rehabs. Because I'm assuming most people are like me, where it's like, oh yeah, the highest ROI is just replacing the appliances, the cabinets, and the countertops. That's the highest ROI. But it's not replacing, it's just repurposing.
Yeah.
The very best is just repurposing. But yeah. All right. Well, that is all the time we have for today.
Oh, man. Thanks for
We'll see you on the next. Real estate isn't magic, it's a skill. And the people who win long term are the ones that keep stacking the reps. That means learning, analyzing, staying patient, and making good decisions. If you want to keep building that skill with us, make sure to subscribe and send this to someone who needs to hear it, because I know you know someone that needs to. Anyways, that's all for today. Take care.